Report on Michael Jackson's autopsy disclosed some depressing information. Michael Jackson was born Michael Joseph Jackson in Gary on August 29, 1958, Indiana. Out of 10, he was the 8th. Kids from the working-class Catherine's African-American family and Jackson Joseph. From an early age, Michael demonstrated remarkable musical charm and ability. Under the rigorous and frequently strict direction of his Joseph, his father, and his older Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and their brothers Maron founded a Motown group called the Jackson 5 gang that was going to take over the music scene world by storm. Michael was only a youngster when he took over as the main vocalist for the Jackson 5, wowed crowds with his captivating stage presence, heartfelt voice, and organic cadence. Hits such as IABC, The Love You Save, Want You Back, and I Will not only have climbed the charts, but further solidified the group's position in the history of pop music. But despite being a Jackson 5 member, it was evident that Michael had an extraordinary star power that was meant to take him well beyond the achievements of the collective. Toward the end of the 1970s, Michael started a career on their own that would rethink the music business. With the 1979 saw the publication of Off Wall. Produced by Quincy Jones, the legendary Jackson became known as a powerful individual performer. The album merged R&B, pop, funk, and disco with a polished elegance and gave rise to hits like Continue Until You Have Enough and Rock Alongside You. However, it was his subsequent album, 1982's Thriller, which launched him into unparalleled worldwide celebrity status. The best-selling album was Thriller, with more than 70 million copies worldwide, sold all around the world. It broke down racial obstacles on MTV with innovative Beat It, Billie Jean, and more music videos with the horror-themed 14-minute Thriller, a masterwork that included storytelling, dance, and music as never before. Jackson's autograph motions, particularly the gravity-delaying moonwalk, which he demonstrated at a Billie Jean's performance in 1983, became recognizable and had an impact on generations. Dancers from all across the world. Michael's influence went well beyond music. He transformed the music video into an artistic medium form and changed the musical tour into a sophisticated multimedia show. His military style and sense of fashion coats, a fedora, and one white glove hats and glistening socks turned into clearly identifiable signs of his brand that releases albums such as Bad 1987, History 1995, Dangerous 1991. He persisted in pushing the boundaries of art, while dealing with intricate social concerns such as poverty, prejudice, and songs that cause environmental destruction such as The Black or White Man in the Mirror. They Don't Give a Damn About Earth song. Michael Jackson made one in March 1988. Among the most recognizable and lavish purchases in the history of celebrities when he purchased a massive estate spanning 2,700 acres. Tucked away amid the tranquil rolling hills close to California's Santa Ynez. At an astounding $17 million, or nearly the same to $45 million now, this enormous a vast area of land would shortly be changed to become something much greater than a house. Jackson had a dreamlike vision, in contrast to everything the world has ever witnessed. A private paradise that would turn into renowned as Neverland Ranch. Motivated by the magical island from Peter Pan, a place where kids never mature. Ancient Neverland served as a living example of Jackson's limitless creativity and profound longing for the wonder and purity of his early years, a period of his life that had been given up for fame too soon. Age. The enormous land was soon brought to existence with the grandeur of an amusement park. Amidst the oak trees, there was a Ferris wheel in full size, a private cinema theater, and a carousel prepared for both movie screenings as well as live performances. He even built a zoo with exotic animals, international wildlife, giraffes, orangutans, elephants, and other, giving guests the impression that they had entered a realm of imagination. For increased privacy and security, particularly considering Jackson's unmatched degree of renown, a group of 40 full-time security staff members guarded the estate. The clock guaranteeing the pop icon's visitors were protected from the elements. The world. Neverland was more than just a home. It was a fully immersive haven. Jackson may hide there from the demands of being a superstar. At the time, his impact on the world was exploding. Only a few months after founding, Jackson shattered cultural norms in Neverland. obstacles by being the first Western performer to make an appearance on a Soviet television commercial. A remarkable achievement when the Cold War was coming to an end. It emphasized his standing as a unifying factor on a global scale. By Jackson, in the late 1980s, had firmly solidified his reputation as a cultural phenomenon. He wasn't only a vocalist or a dancer, he brought about a revolution in amusement. King of Pop started to go everywhere with him, a moniker that developed naturally among admirers, but was quickly welcomed and pushed by his public relations team. In 1989, the Elizabeth Taylor, the renowned actress, made the nickname famous on stage when she gave him the Soul Train in his honor. Heritage Award, renowned for referring to him as the real pop, rock, and soul king. A strong statement that struck a chord throughout the music business. Jackson's impact even extended to the top levels of government. In acknowledgement of his artistic contributions and charitable endeavors, George W. Bush introduced him with particular distinction, designating him the Artist of the Decade at the White House. The praise kept coming in. In 1990, Jackson at the 38th Annual BMI Awards once again made history as the first performer to ever win an award it was given his name, a outstanding homage to his influence on the development of contemporary music. However, behind the sparkling accolades and stunning performances was a man who was devoted to return the favor. From 1985 to 1990, Jackson made a remarkable $455,000 donation to the Fund for the United Negro College, supplying vital assistance for schooling and African-American empowerment community. Additionally, he made sure that the total earnings from his self-examination Man in the Mirror, a smash single, were geared toward philanthropic endeavors. In another moment of recognition that shines brightly, Jackson gave a heartfelt performance of At the Star-Studded 60th Birthday, You Were Present, Sammy Davis's birthday party JRB, a stunning performance that won it was his second nomination for an Emmy. In addition to being a musical prodigy, Jackson was renowned for his humanitarian work. He contributed millions to charitable organizations worldwide and established the Heal the World Foundation to enhance the quality of life for kids. He frequently utilized his position to voice your opposition to injustice, raise AIDS awareness, and encourage messages of harmony and peace. In spite of his enormous wealth and renown, Michael kept a strong sense of sympathy for the vulnerable, particularly kids, and frequently went to orphans, hospitals, and underprivileged areas in his personal time. But Jackson's existence was also characterized by significant personal difficulties. The strains of celebrity, the pain of his physical insecurities, childhood, and the constant tabloid attention had a negative impact on his emotional and mental health. Later in life, he was the focus of severe media conjecture and controversy, especially in regard to claims pertaining to his relationships with kids. Although he was found not guilty in a well-known trial in 2005 and upheld, popular opinion of his innocence stayed split. Michael Jackson, the well-known monarch of pop, has two marriages throughout his life, each representing a distinct stages of his individual journey and public existence. His first spouse was Lisa Marie, the sole child of Elvis Presley, the legendary rock and roll star Presley, in 1994. This union attracted a lot of media attention and public interest since it connected two of the most well-known musical traditions in America past. The partnership started during broad conjecture and interest, with a lot of admirers and onlookers wondering how these two offspring giants in entertainment would have an impact each other on a personal and creative level. The union of Michael and Lisa Marie was, some people find it surprising because to their radically dissimilar personalities and histories. It was known that Lisa Marie for her solid bonds and grounded personality, honoring the legacy of her father, as Michael was managing the tremendous demands of his own international fame and private difficulties. Despite the initial enthusiasm pertaining to their connection, the marriage had many challenges. The lifestyles of the couple, public scrutiny, as well as the enormous burden of celebrity caused conflict between them. After being married for around 2 years, Michael and Lisa Marie Presley made public their separation and completed their divorce. 1996. Despite the dissolution of their marriage, both have said in a courteous manner toward one another in subsequent years, revealing a complicated but significant period of their lives. After he and Lisa Marie got divorced, Michael Jackson and Presley fell in love with Deborah Jean Rowe once more. He had known the dermatological nurse for a while. In 1997, they got married, a connection that appeared to offer Michael with greater steadiness throughout a tumultuous time characterized by court cases and media attention. Deborah was frequently characterized as a kind and encouraging partner who guided Michael through some of his own hardships. Additionally, marriage was important for the Michaels family's expansion as Deborah produced 2 of his children. Their Michael Joseph Jackson Jr., the first child, often called Prince. He was born in February 1997. In April 1998, 2 years later, Paris Michael, their daughter, was welcomed. Katherine Jackson would eventually becoming a well-known individual in her own right, carrying on her father's legacy as an advocate and artist. The births of Paris and Prince added fresh dimensions to Michael's existence, bringing happiness and accountability in the midst of his complex celebrity life. But even so, despite these advantages, the marriage faced difficulties. By 1999, Deborah and Michael split up, and she ultimately gave up custody of their Michael's children, a choice that highlighted the intricacies of their private lives as well as Michael's intention to be a parent today in spite of his challenging profession. Along with his children with Michael and Deborah Rowe, Prince was Jackson's 3rd child, Michael Jackson II, commonly referred to as Blanket. When Blanket was born in 2002, it was obscured by uncertainty as Michael made the decision to save information about the mother of the child private. Later, it was discovered that it was a surrogate mother who gave birth to Blanket by means of synthetic insemination, a selection that reflects Michael's inclinations for his family's safety and privacy from the unrelenting gaze of the media. The introduction of Blanket added additional cherished family member of Michael's, and the vocalist was renowned for being extremely committed to his 3 children. During his lifetime, Michael frequently declared his devotion and affection for his kids, considering them a source of healing and optimism amidst the numerous difficulties he encountered. The manner in which he decided to construct his family by getting married, collaborations, and surrogacy demonstrated his distinct style of fatherhood and his resolve to establish a caring, nurturing atmosphere for his kids despite the tremendous strains of his notoriety. Michael's autopsy report. Jackson, the renowned pop king, discovered a number of terrible and tragic information that illuminates the situation pertaining to his premature demise. These specifics showed, in addition to the physical state of the renowned performer in the globe at the time of his death, but also provided information on the tremendous obstacles he had to overcome behind the scenes. The death of Michael Jackson occurred on June 25, 2009, 50 years old. Additionally, the autopsy created a solemn image that traveled far past the news headlines. The study, which was carefully carried out by doctors' examinations, demonstrated the breadth of his physical decline as well as the tragic effects of long-term health and problems with medicine. Among the most disturbing discoveries was the existence of a powerful mix of prescription substances in his body that eventually contributed to his demise. The report demonstrated that Jackson had substantial quantities of potent sedatives and anesthetics, such as the medication Propol usually employed in hospital operation spaces for establishing and sustaining anesthesia while performing surgery. The application of Propol outside of a medical facility, especially in a domestic setting without appropriate monitoring apparatus, which was quite rare and very risky. This discovery highlighted Jackson's desperation, joy involved in his fight against chronic pain and insomnia, turning to drastic and dangerous methods in an effort to identify relief. Additionally, the autopsy showed that the enormous heart of Michael Jackson was a situation that is referred to in medicine as cardiomegaly. An enlarged heart may result from several elements, including extended drug use, hypertension, or an underlying cardiac disease, and it typically raises the risk of cardiac failure or unexpected cardiac arrest. This discovery brought to light the toll that years of mental and physical strain in conjunction with the utilization of his body has been possessed by drugs. It indicated that Jackson's condition was brittle and his heart might already have been compromised prior to his passing. An additional depressing fact was the magnitude of bruising and scarring were discovered on his body, which prompted inquiries over his general health as well as the strains he faced in both his personal and professional lives. According to reports, there were noticeable needle marks and proof of many injections, implying a strong dependence on injectable drugs. This created an image of a man dealing with serious health problems and perhaps addiction, battling pain and sleeplessness that traditional therapies were unable to relieve. The report went into additional detail that Jackson had congestion in his lungs and displayed indications of fluid buildup, suggesting that he most likely had respiratory distress in the vicinity of demise. This might have resulted from the sedatives that are lowering his breathing, which sadly resulted in cardiac arrest and oxygen shortage. It highlighted the way his body was overtaken by the poisonous mix of medications and the subsequent physiological failure. Possibly the most tragic, the autopsy reports feature that it suggested regarding Jackson's mental state and his reliance on medicine to manage with a life full of enormous loneliness, pressure, and scrutiny. Despite his enormous success, notoriety, and wealth, these medical results showed a man who was in great pain on both mentally and physically. His demise was more than just the passing of a famous performer, but also a heartbreaking conclusion to a life characterized by suffering and susceptibility few people outside of his immediate group completely got it. The report from the autopsy on Michael Jackson gave an enlightening and affecting examination of the last chapter of a life that is complex. It showed a man fighting long-term health conditions, dependent on harmful drugs, and having difficulties with the repercussions of celebrity and personal adversity. These depressing facts remind people that behind the celebrity glitz and glamour, there can be extremely painful, and they emphasize the significance of sympathetic understanding of the difficulties that the general populace faces.